Let's bring in Andy McCarthy for this Fox News Alert, a former assistant U.S. attorney, Fox News contributor. Of course, a big day here. There's a hearing coming up where Democrats are going to be targeting Bill Barr. We'll get to that in a moment because it's very interesting that this appears to me, at least, to be a moment where Bill Barr may be vindicated because under great political pressure and attacks from Democrats, he intervened in the Michael Flynn case and said it's time to drop it. Your reaction?
Well, it's the right result, Ed. I have to say I'm surprised because courts don't like to issue mandamus writs. So I really thought that they would allow Judge Sullivan at least to have his hearing on July 16th or have his proceeding and then maybe drop the case on his own with a direction from or a strong hint from the Court of Appeals that that's what he should do. They actually obviously went further than that. A divided panel has said, rightly, that there's no court role in the determination whether a case should either be brought or persisted in. That's what the law says, and they've made it clear to Judge Sullivan they expect him to follow the law.
That next hearing we expect is July 12th, but the Justice Department believes that it's null and void because of the developments this morning. On the other hand, Andy, as you know, everything we've assumed in this case, it's taken some weird turns, including Judge Sullivan recently taking the bizarre step of hiring his own attorney to sort of make the case for why he might drag this out more. Do you think the July 12th hearing really is gone? Do you think, that General Flynn has finally won?
Well, I think it would be very defiant, Ed, on his part if he had the hearing he envisioned having, because what the Court of Appeals ruling says today is basically it's a violation of constitutional separation of powers for the court to intrude itself into the Justice Department's decision-making about something the Constitution puts in executive power, which is this decision whether to persist in a case. So they've made it clear that they don't want that kind of a hearing. My only advice to the people who've won today is let's not spike the football. I mean, it's perfectly fine to come out and say what's been said so far, but I think they ought to give Judge Sullivan a little bit of space and a little bit of grace to say, all right, the Court of Appeals has ruled, let's dismiss the case and move on. I think the worst thing they can do if they don't want any more trouble here is to look like they're sort of dancing on his grave a bit.
And to your point, Bill Barr's spokeswoman a moment ago told David Spunt they're pleased with the decision. That's not spiking the football, as you say. Maybe they just want to move on. Let's quickly move on to this. I teed up that about an hour or so from now, we're going to see this hearing, Jerry Nadler and House Democrats attacking William Barr again, suggesting he's intervened in a political way in cases such as Roger Stone. Here's what you wrote about the Stone case February 2019. During a long investigation, prosecutors always develop a theory of the case. Often the hypothesis doesn't pan out, no problem. You narrow your indictment down to what you can prove and call it a day. Instead, Bob Mueller gives us the fever dream. Stone as a key cog in the collusion wheel. The special counsel could have contented himself with easy-to-prove false statement charges against Stone. And yet here we are, Andy. And it's the Democrats pushing Barr again. What do you expect to happen today? What comes next?
Well, there'll be a lot of heat. I don't know how much light. I really think if you look at what the objective is here, Ed, which I still think is to discredit Attorney General Barr in anticipation of the fact that the Durham investigation is probably winding to a conclusion within, or at least a critical decision within the next weeks, if not a couple of months. And what they're trying to do is derivatively destroy that investigation and any charges it may come up with by going after the Attorney General. So everything is being blown out of proportion. This is really much ado about nothing in the sense that what it's about is a sentencing guidelines enhancement and the difference between whether Stone should have been sentenced to what he got, which was 40 months, or something closer to 9 years, which was what the prosecutors recommended, what a technical reading of the sentencing guidelines would have called for, and what the judge ultimately decided was way out of proportion to what the offense was. So ultimately, the court came out exactly where Attorney General Barr was in a case where the court knew a lot more about the case than a lot of people at the Justice Department did, because Judge Jackson had actually presided over the trial. So I really think that, you'll hear a lot today about, the internal deliberations in the Justice Department from a witness, Mr. Zielinski, who actually never had a conversation with the Attorney General or any higher up at the Justice Department. But, they'll be ranting and raving.
They'll still be accusing the Attorney General of all kinds of things, even if they didn't talk to him directly. Roger Stone, meanwhile, on social media, saying he wants to delay in being sent to prison. He's got concerns about the coronavirus at his age, some underlying conditions. We're going to watch all of that. We appreciate you rolling with the breaking news on General Flynn as well. Andy McCarthy, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Sandra?